Alright, what is up guys, it's Zero here, and today we are here to take a look at another deck profile from the newest set. This time we are taking a look at Shadow Paladin, more specifically Luard. Luard got its, I'm pretty sure it's the last wave of support, as I would expect it to, because it is the last, technically the last like main set of G. But yeah, so Luard got its last wave of support, and these new cards are definitely really good. So we'll be taking a look at it today, so without further ado, let's take a look at the list. So this is the list that I'm playing, and before we even start, I'll say that this is not a pure zero damage list or anything like that. I do not think you can do that against the vast majority of decks anymore. However, I will say that sometimes you will actually play a zero damage game plan against the decks that you know that you need to, or it's beneficial to do that, and this deck can still facilitate it because you're still playing like the augments and all that. But yeah, this deck more or less is a actual hit face deck, as you'll see in the games of the show. It is a hit face deck now, but in some matchups, zero damage is still a strategy you might want to consider. And those matchups, I'll let you figure out what those matchups are yourself. I will not say anything about that unless it comes up for something. But yeah, so starter for is actually a new card. It is I don't know what his name is, but he is most definitely better than the old starter. Old starter was basically played just because of anti-retire, but his skill is so this one also anti-retire, and Ritual 3, when this unit is retired from board as cost, it goes to soul to CC 1. So already better. The 5k basically never mattered on the other starter, so this one CC is always nice. And this skill, and this unlike the whatchamacallit, the other starter, you can actually retire it with the rear skills and the effect will still go off. So the most common example here would be the PG. If you retire the starter off of the PG, it would still go into soul to CC1. So very nice there. But yeah, your old starter is garbage. This new one's just better in every way because the CCs instead of giving power. So no reason to play the old one anymore. This one is much better in my opinion. Grade 1s, we are playing 4 of the Owl. We still need to find our ride. He's still a CC, so still really good. No, not you. We are playing the Ezraz now, the actual Ritual PG. We are playing this because we're no longer like trying to stall the game out, and recycling PGs isn't really something you do much to begin with anyways. So might as well play a PG that can that you can call out and then actually add back to hand immediately. So having a tutorable PG is actually really nice. You don't know what Ezraz does. Drop zone GB1 Ritual 3. Return another copy of Ezra from your drop zone back to the bottom of your deck, and I think discard one. I actually don't remember if discard one or not. But basically, you return another copy of Actually, no, you don't discard one. I'm pretty sure you just return a copy of Ezra's back to the bottom of your deck, and actually, no, you do discard. I actually don't remember, but basically, you put another copy of itself back to bottom deck to add one copy back to your hand. And the reason why it wasn't played before is because it binds itself on PG use. So when you actually use it from your hand as a PG, it binds itself, so it's not infinitely recyclable. It wasn't only played before because you were actually trying to grind the game and you actually need to recycle your PGs, but with this deck, you no longer need to do that. So having a tutorable PG is very nice. I actually do not remember if this thing discards ones or not. I see an extra cost on it, so I'm assuming it's discard one. But yeah, I actually do not remember anymore. I use it all the time, just kind of use it, just kind of forget about it. But yeah, a tutorable PG is very nice, and then you just need that one PG to start the turn to win the game. So this coin can do it for you. And these finally to new grade ones in the deck. In the gameplay I'm about to show, I'm show after this, I actually have these two ratios swapped. So I have 3 of this one and 2 of this one. But just to go over the effects. So Ritual 1 on place of your Vanguard. If your Vanguard has the Ritual ability, so lost 1 to draw 1. So this is just a bigger sword breaker. It's a sword breaker, but it's 7k, so it's better sword breaker. The condition on this card is non-existent, so it is better sword breaker in every way. And this other card skill is hand. Discard itself and rest a unit with the ritual ability. So more than not, it's your starter to draw 1. So it basically cycles itself out to draw 1. And then GB2 Ritual 5. If your Vanguard's grade 4 Luard, it gets plus 7k. So big booster, but we mainly play it for the first effect because this card itself just turbos Ritual while not going neg, because you discard itself. Rest the card. Resting is not really a cost in terms of card advantage because you just rest it, you just can't use it for the turn. But usually you're just resting like a starter or something on turn 1, turn 2, so it's perfectly fine. This card it's a great one that gets itself into drop while also cycling you 1 card deeper into your deck, so very nice for that. I realized the value of how good I think this card actually is. This card is actually really good because, again, turbo and ritual count, especially for your first ride, is very good because you want to be striding for free as often as possible, and this card lets you get grade 1s and drop faster to turbo your ritual count. So very, very good card. And that's it for grade 1s. Grade 2s, I'm still playing 2 in the main. I think the main's still pretty good. Let's do cycle early. We're not playing too many of it just because we really don't want to see just the one early. We don't see it as whatever as well. So 2 of that. Morfessa, still a really good card because it counts as grade 1 and drop. That's the main reason why she's in the deck. But her other effects are actually like pretty relevant now. Before she just sometimes you use her call a booster for another column or something. But Morfessa now is actually you can actually use her to extend because you actually have an intercept you can call off of this. But Ritual 3 when attacking Van +5, so she's a solo attacker, so you can save the booster for the thing you're about to call. And then Ritual 3 on hit, you can CV1 to call a grade 1 from your deck to anywhere on the board. And the grade 1 you're calling off of this is the new tripper, is the Slap-Tail Dragon. So Ritual, so the reason why you can call it is because it's second effect, deck and drop zone. If your Vanguard's a grade 4 Luard, it gets -1 grade. So it's a grade 2 in deck. As long as you're on a stride of any kind, because your heart will always be Luard. As long as you're on a stride of any kind, the Slap-Tail will be a grade 2 in deck, meaning you can call it off anything that can call only grade 1s. So very good for that reason. So obviously the super easy extension here is Morfessa hit, Morfessa skill, call Slap-Tail over itself, and then you can extend again for the whole column because Morfessa hit solo. So very good for that. But this thing also has another skill, Ritual 3. When a grade 1 when a grade 1 rear is called, when a grade 1 with the ritual ability is called to your board, so everything here is ritual. This unit and that unit get +3, so if you call like himself plus something else plus another grade 1 and whole column, it just gives +3 to both, so very good for scaling as well. So also when you're actually on a grade 4, this card does not count for your like Luard's free strike condition, but it does count towards stuff like Ogma, where anything that needs ritual count and drop. The Slap-Tail does count as a grade 1 and drop once you're on the stride, so that's really good for ritual count as well, so you can actually put other grade 1s back in your deck if you need to. But yeah, Slap-Tail and Morfessa both really, really good. And finally, we're playing 3 Dagdas. So Dagda skill is Ritual 5 GB1. So Ritual 5 is a little harder because sometimes you just don't have it, or sometimes you have to put stuff back and just lose count because of that. But when this skill is when you attack the Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a Luard, CB1 and retire a grade 1 or lower rear guard, and choose 2 grade 1s from your deck and call them. So this card can reset a whole column, so that's really good for that. Usually what you call off a Dagda is like a Slap-Tail plus a booster of some sort to go with it. And yeah, Dagda is a good card, good extender. Yeah, so that's it for grade 2s. And finally for triggers, 4 heals, heal the heal guards. We're playing 3 Balal Owls, I think is the name of this card. I always get 2 owls confused, but he's a recyclable crit. And the reason we're not playing 4 of it is because the crit is honestly kind of whatever. It's just there. It's cool. But the main reason we're really playing this card is to just not deck ourselves out, because our new main ride Luard doesn't recycle nearly as hard as the old Luard does. It only puts 1 back as opposed to the old Luard putting 2 back. So this card is more of a tool to just not deck ourselves out without having to go into something like a Drag Driver just to prevent deck out. So that's why we're playing this. But obviously this thing, when stacked off by a Vanguard's effect, drawing 1 is still very nice. So we're still playing these, and then we're playing 2 of this grade 3 dragon. So other than the spot, you can probably cut for the old Luard if you really wanted to, but I personally don't find too much use for the old Luard anymore. But this dragon skill is Ritual 1, not GB locked on play if your Vanguard has the ritual ability. Search your deck for any grade 1 and call it with the ritual ability and call it. So again, everything in your deck has ritual, so you can call anything. So basically on turn 3, if you go first, you can use this skill to call out her to draw 1. So that's the main use of it, but other than that, it's just stride fodder on your first stride if you really need it. But yeah, realistically, these 2 slots, the last 2 slots, can be anything you want them to be. I just find that if you draw this card going first, it's actually pretty nice. Otherwise, later on in the game, it's still a free grade 1 on the board to get more cost for stuff like Ogma and stuff. So I think this grade 3 is actually pretty solid. And finally, our new main ride is the Dragfall, I think his name is Dragfall Luard. So his skill is Ritual X, or Ritual Cross, I think is what they said in the anime. When you're paying the cost to stride or ultimate stride, you can pay the cost of CB4 and put any one card that a trigger from your drop back to the bottom of your deck to pay for stride cost and discarding 1, and then this cost is lowered by CB1 for every 1 grade 1 in your drop zone. So basically, if you have 4 grade 1s in drop, great, you stride for free, putting 1 card back. Otherwise, you pay like 1 CB, 2 CB, depending on what grade 1s you have in your drop zone. So like technically less harsh than the old Luard's condition, because the old Luard just needed Ritual 3. But this one, as long as you have grade 1s in drop to some degree, you can still technically stride for free but might cost you a CB or two. And the really good thing here is that this Luard skill isn't at the beginning of your turn like the old Luard, so you can actually stride for free on your first stride, if even going second, if you just get that many grade 1s in the drop zone. So good improvement there. And then the stride bonus is also technically an improvement, but stride bonus skill is on stride CB1. Choose any one grade 1 or lower card from your deck and call it. And then if the card you called has the ritual ability, choose one rear guard in the same column as the unit that you called and retire it. So this one, so the trade-off here is that you call less grade 1s, so stuff like Augma is technically harder to use, quote unquote. You get less grade 1s onto the board. But the upside to this card is that, one, it does not need to retire one of your rear, so if your opponent just kills your back row off, they don't just shut down your stride bonus. It retires one as well, so you hit base, so you can hit better. And in the cases where you actually do have multiple rounds for the Augma, technically it's an extra retire, so that's one more card out of their hand from the Augma. So overall, I think this Luard is just better than the old one in every way. I think this one is just it just does more for the deck, and I think the most important part is that it doesn't need to retire a card for cost to actually use it, so you don't get screwed by board control. So Dragabyss Luard, really good card, and definitely your new main right now. And G-Zone, so old stuff, 3 drag drivers. Drag driver is mainly here to not deck yourself out a lot of the times, because like I said earlier, drag fall only recycles 1 card, so you don't recycle your deck nearly as hard. Sometimes you actually do need to go in drag driver just to put stuff back, either to set up for next turn or just to prevent deck out. So that's why we're playing that in 3, because maybe you want to flip them for other stuff. So yeah, 3 drag drivers. To Augma. Augma is still a very good card, still a win condition in some matchups. And the matchups where you do want to damage deny, Augma is there for that. Otherwise, Augma can still just be a full board retire and just controlling hand to some degree. So Augma is still really good. Drag Strider is another finisher, Ritual 7. Gives you a glory restrict, extra crit, extra drive. Doesn't come up too often, but you know, it's just a one of. If it comes up, comes up. If it doesn't come up, it's whatever. And the new main card you're basically going to twice every single game is the Dragabyss. So I'll start off by saying this deck really wants 4 of this card. I think the closest thing you have to a replacement to this card is Helheim, but I think Helheim is much worse than this card by comparison. But I guess if you don't want to get 4 Dragabyss, I guess 1 pair of Helheim is a fine replacement. But this card's skill is once per turn, so +1 G Persona Flip, and choose 1 rear guard and retire it. Choose 2 grade 1. Choose 2 grade 1s with the from your deck and call them. And if you call the 2 cards with the ritual ability, retire 1 of your opponent's rear cards. So it's a +1 with a retire tacked onto it. So it's really good there. And but the most important thing is that okay, it's also free, so that's really nice there. So +1, it's not too big of a cost. And then the most important thing is why you want it for multiples is because on second stride onwards, for GB3 Ritual X, for every 4 grade 1s in your drop zone, your front row gets +10k power. So if you have like 8 grade 1s in drop, which is not too hard, especially considering that you have all your regular grade 1s, Slap Tails, and Morfessas, you can make your front row really beefy, and everything hits for PG numbers. Morfessa can extend, Dagda can extend, so you can get like multiple PG checks on your opponent. So even if they're at 4, Morfessa can just push them back to 5, and then your columns are still huge, and then Dagda can extend extra attack, so you can get upwards of like 4, usually around like 4 checks all asking for PGs because of the numbers that Dragabyss makes. So yeah, Dragabyss is not only your optimal first stride in like basically every situation unless you're trying to Augma them. Dragabyss is also your best second stride because of that, because of the GB3 on it. So because of that, I definitely recommend 4 Dragabyss if you can get them. And the last 2 slots is Harmonix, which is we're not going to go over. And but my last spot is Ultima. I don't think I've ever actually gone into it willingly, or rather, I don't think I ever had a game where Ultima would be the thing that wins me the game. So this last block can realistically be whatever you want it to be, but I have Ultima, so I will play it. If you don't know what to play, you can definitely like cut like the Strider and the Ultima for like a pair of Hellhounds or something. But yeah, if you have it, you'll play it. If you don't have it, it's whatever. I would not go out of my way to get Ultima for this deck specifically. So that is the deck profile for this deck. So I guess I'll see you guys at some games. So I will see you guys there. So for our first match, we are playing against Shadows. I think my opponent was actually playing Claret, not Amir. But The mulligan priority for the deck is basically still the same thing as it's always been. You just mull for early pieces, rides, your ride PGs. Not a whole lot of variation to it, but yeah. Here obviously I mulled back like I think it was like a heal and a crit. Obviously you don't want to hold those. And yeah, early game, this is one of those decks that can actually commit, especially Morphesas. You want those in drop as early as possible because you want the ritual count. So this is one of those decks that actually can commit early, which I think is a big plus to the deck. You also have stuff like the main, like the one you have in our hand, that actually lets us play an early game to some degree. And I think that's actually really important right now. So because of that, I think that's one of Luard's strong points, is that it's a deck that can actually commit early and not care. In fact, the deck probably does actually want to commit early because you want to get those grade 1s in drop as fast as possible for ritual. So and here you see me, I ride the Slaptail. Obviously don't want to ride the main, you want to use the main. So did the grade 1, draw 2 grade 2s, and here I think you'll probably just see me slam down my entire hand here just because I don't want to take any more damage than I have to. Yeah, so here just slam down hand. I just go for the 2, so kill the rear off, because that rear can actually kill the main, so I'd rather he commit more cards out of his hand. And we'll just hit for the 2 damage here. And I don't remember if I covered it in the deck profile part or not, but it is important to note that Slaptail does not count towards your ritual count for when you're just seeing if you're striding for free off of the Luard, because Slaptail only counts as a grade 2, a grade 1 in drop when you're actually already on a stride. So just keep that in mind. Slaptails do not count towards your free stride condition. So that kind of sucks there, but still a good card to have regardless. Still counts as ritual afterwards. So here you see me ride, and oh yeah, the reason I'm playing Luard on draw is because and the other grade 3 on draw is because this deck doesn't actually plus that much. A lot of decks I've seen on ladder play they play the crits, and then they also play whatever their grade 3s are on a stand. So they have a stand to pull out with the Ultima, which it's cute, I guess. I personally don't agree with it, just because I think this deck actually does want its draw. You'll see here, my hand is not exactly that big, and you can't actually afford to use the Soul Blast 1 Draw 1 girl that much, because you need to save soul for what's his face, for Dragabyss. And because of that, I think that yeah, I think the deck still wants its draws because you still want to draw into your pieces. The main thing with this deck and most of the other decks is that your main combo extenders are not actually searchable. Morphesa is not searchable, you need to hard draw that. Dagda is not searchable, you need to hard draw those. So I think the draws are actually pretty important for this deck, and as such, I'm still playing draws in the deck. Obviously, those draws sometimes hurt you because they force you to deck out sometimes, which kind of sucks. But regardless, I think the draws are still a better inclusion in the deck than the stands. I don't think Ultima should actually be a win con you're going for in this deck. I don't think stacking a stand and crit is something you should be aiming to do. I think you should just try to kill them with Dragabyss as fast as possible, and then Ogma where you can, and then you have Strider as a finisher if you really need it. But yeah, that's why I'm not playing personally playing stands or anything. But I guess if you're playing stands, you can definitely play more towards an Ultima win con. You definitely go like Abyss, Ultima, and that's still a pretty solid win con, right? Because Abyss probably checked a bunch of times on your second stride, and then Ultima also Ultima just gets you a stands your board, and then crit for your entire board too. So if you really want to do that, go ahead, I guess. But I personally value the draws more. And this guy is just doing Ogma things. At most, I'd have to discard 1 here, so I'm not exactly too scared of his Ogma. I definitely think he should have gone Helheim or something here instead. But, you know, I guess he wanted to Ogma, which is fair enough, I guess. He clears that board. I don't even discard a card. Yeah, so I discarded 1 card here. So it's just, I don't really know about that. Especially a deck that, like, doesn't really, like, care too much with discarding because you're trying for free. I think forcing discards, the biggest decks that get hurt by them are the decks that actually need to pay cost to stride. And Luard definitely is not a deck that needs to pay cost to stride ever, for the most part. So I personally don't think whatever this guy's doing is a 2-2 relevant in any way. And he does that. Reckless PG just does his thing. And here, I just ditch a PG just so I can get my more ritual cost and just grab back later. I did get pushed to 5. I should go for my own Ogma here, but looking back at it, I should have just gone for my own, for Dragabyss instead. I was like, oh cool, this guy's no cards. He has no cards, I'm just going to Ogma him back. And then I realized that I don't actually have the hand or the grade 1s to actually Ogma him for that many cards. So this was probably a mistake. I probably should have just gone for Dragabyss here instead. But you'll see here that this deck can actually Ogma for stride fairly consistently now because of Slaptail. You have more cards in your drop that count as grade 1, so that's always helps towards that. And I pop 1. And then this will get another grade 1 draw. I think that actually gets me to Ritual 5, I think. Yeah, that gets me to exactly Ritual 5, but I don't actually have that many, so I'm also just making him ditch 1 here, which kind of sucks. No reason to do that. Yeah, we popped 1, so here. We still have to draw 2 off the Augment, which is really nice, so it's not like the biggest issue here, per se, in terms of going for Augment instead of Dragabyss, but Abyss definitely would have pushed better, would have gotten more cards out of it too, but this makes him ditch 1, I guess, which is cool. And here, you see 1. And here you'll get to see the starter actually, and you'll see this first, but you'll see Slaptail scaling on my columns, so everything actually scales here. But here you'll actually get to see the starter go off, being retired from the PG's effect. So you can still see it still goes to soul and then still CCs 1 like this. So that's definitely something that the old starter didn't do. So that's definitely very nice there. And Slaptail still scaled 2 columns as well because 2 Slaptails, so the grade 1 gets extra big, and then the Slaptails are a solo attacker, so that's really nice there. And then we just get 1 check in, and he discards 1 at the start of his turn. And we heal down as well. As far as I know, I don't think Claret plays Abyss. They probably could, but I don't think they play Abyss. But we heal down. The heal down definitely keeps us safe there. Hellhound doesn't actually hit that big of numbers. And I think that's like the main thing that would kill us there. So yeah, there's that. And then we'll just make him niche 1. So even though we didn't augment for that many cards, he still lost a bunch of cards. He still lost a bunch of cards, so he's still not in the best of spots here because of our Augma, even though it wasn't the most effective. And he goes for the Helheim, so he does this thing, he pushes a bit, blah 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 blah. Cool, I think he healed down too. This like kind of sucks, but healing down realistically doesn't matter because your numbers are huge with Dragabyss. Yeah, and the main thing you're usually recycling off of your Shy bonus is usually Slaptail because you want to call Slaptails out with your other effects while you're extending, or just calling them off of Dragabyss. So yeah, the main thing you're usually recycling with this is Slaptail. Otherwise, you can recycle some other stuff as well. So here you see me call a crit out because calling a crit out means I'm gonna stack it off to draw 1. The main things you're looking for off these draws are obviously your Morphesas, your Dagdas, those are your main extenders. Like I said in the deck profile, the biggest issue with this deck in my opinion is that you need to hard draw all your pieces. You can't actually search for them, unlike in most decks. So here I found a Morphesa. And you also get to see the value of that grade 1 is that I get to rest whatever I was going to kill off as cost anyways, to cycle an extra card deeper into my deck and get more grade 1s and drops for more ritual count. So pretty nice there. And here sometimes you also see that you run out of grade 1s in the deck, so having PGs you can call out that you can just then recycle as well is also really nice. So here you see me call 2 PGs, I pop out those intercepts. And I don't remember if I actually like there. So you see I actually just top decked into the deck. So here you see me like you see me top deck into both, but that also shows the issue is that you need to actually top deck into both. You can't actually whatchamacallit, you can't actually search them, so that really sucks there. And here I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do my columns. Yeah, see you do that. I think I'd probably stand on the grade 3 as well to get that PG back to my hand from drop one of the PGs to drop at least. Another good thing about this PG, oh my opponent scooped, but another good thing about the PG is that it puts 1 back to the deck, so you have an extra grade 1 in your deck. You can actually call off effects. Like even though it's a PG, the PGs are still grade 1s, and with Dragabyss they're still hitting giant numbers. As you saw there on that before I overcalled the PG, the PG was like 26k, which is already hitting for PG numbers at 5, so pretty good there. And my next match I play against a mirror, and here you'll actually see a very big difference because even though it is a mirror, my opponent is on the stand crit variant deck and I'm on the draw crit variant, and you'll see that I think this guy just didn't draw cards because he was playing stand and stuff. So yeah, I think you'll really get to see that the difference in triggers actually makes a difference sometimes. Stands, yes, you can be more sacky, maybe end the game out a turn faster, but draws are a little more stable, at least in my opinion. And I always prefer stability over high rolling. So there's that. And obviously with the grade 1 rides, if you have the witch that discards herself as cost and another grade 1, you obviously ride the other grade 1 here. Here, if I didn't have the Luard, I'd probably ride the girl that ditches herself, but I already have the Luard in hand, so no reason to do that. So ride the owl, use her to get grade 1 and drop. Rest, draw cycle card. We're gonna whip that heal anyway, so the heal's extra guard in hand, so not the worst thing in the world, I guess. And I guess the one issue with doing this is that you can't aggro, because if that was any other grade 1, I'd probably just slap both on the board. Just slapped her on the board and swung face twice instead. But yeah. I think Grade 1's pretty good. And the Grade 2 see my opponent ride here is actually another new card. It's I think its skill is on rearguard on place discard a Grade 1 with the ritual ability to draw 2. So it's technically a bigger in the main, but it's more restrictive on what you can discard because sometimes you want to discard other things, not just Grade 1s. So I think if you're gonna play a card that ditches 1 to draw, I also got the CP just like the main. I think if you're gonna play a card that ditches to draw, I think you play in the main. I definitely see no reason to play that dude over in the main at all. And here, just trying to figure out what's the least important thing here, what I want to ride. So call Slaptail, call the Morfessa. I would have called the main, but saving CB is always nice, but I also just wanted things that actually hit that they need to trigger, so just call it ride 9k, slam out 2 other 9ks. And I don't know why that popped up, but it's very important for you. It's also very important to note that you want to be calling cards. You want to be riding the cards you don't care to get into drops. So here you see that I rode the Dagda and called Slaptail and Morfessa because I want those 2 in my drops. I don't really care for Dagda in my drop that much, so yeah. And here, and you here also see that slamming down stuff early is also really good because slamming stuff down early means you don't take damage or as much damage early, obviously, because you deal the intercepts. And most decks can't actually clear intercepts before they stride anyway, so that actually limits the amount of damage you can take. Whippy Heal here kind of sucks, but it's whatever. And here, I think we're at Ritual 3. So here, you see, I think I just choose to pay the 1 CB to stride instead and just put something back. So I think I'm just deciding, like, do I value that 1 CB or not? And here, I value putting the Slaptail back instead of the 1 CB. So we pay CB1 to stride. You'll see that girl there was actually really helpful because the girl there on that first turn ditched herself to get an extra ritual count. So if that was any other Grade 1 and the point didn't kill it, it would have been CB2, or I would have just paid cost 2 stride. So yeah. And here you see me call a crit out instead of like the girl that Soul Blast out instead, because I think I mentioned this earlier, but you really need to save your soul for Dragabysses, enough for 2. And as such, you don't want to be using the Soul Blast 1 draw girl as much for that reason. So because of that, a lot of times you end up calling a crit if you just want to draw instead. Otherwise, you'll call like the Grade 1 owl instead, the one that CCs. But here you'll see me call the crit out to draw, and I'll use it again here just because I can use the PG to put the Grade 0 my starter into soul to get the extra soul instead. So that is why I whatchamacallit, that is why my lord, that is why I actually used the Soul Blast on the girl, because I knew I'd get the 1 spell I needed for the next turn. Call that guy, and here Morfessa hits solo. And if we really need to scale to hit face, I could have, I'm thinking here if I actually want to use the Morfessa or not, but if I really want to scale to hit face, I can call the Grade 1 which ditches herself but over the other Grade 1 and just scale that column instead. But he didn't hit defensive, so I didn't need to do that. So I just called Booster Prime Bane instead. Because, as we'll see here, the Slaptail column is only 19. But if I really needed that extra power to scale to hit over, I could just call over that. And then, because then the girl I called would have gotten the power from the Slaptail. So that would have given the extra power I need to hit. And you also see here that before this turn, I didn't have a PG in hand, so the recycling PG is actually really nice, because again, sometimes that 1 PG is all you need to not lose the game. So hypothetically, if my opponent ripped like triple crit here or something, I'd be dead if I didn't have the PG in hand. So yeah, having a 2-to-1 PG is always nice, even if it does bind itself after use, so you don't have to infinitely recycle them. But here you'll see my opponent doing whoop-de-doo. He does his Dragabyss stuff, hits my face, I heal down. So I'm at 4 now, and yeah, I think this is a turn where I ended the game. My opponent just didn't have PGs in hand, so yeah. You never know. What if those stands was a draw and they drew him into PGs? You never know. You never know. So yeah. So I call a PG out with this pop. I have quite the big hand here, but as you'll see here, I also have once again, do not have an extender in my hand. That is like I said, the biggest issue with this deck. None of your extenders all need to be hard drawn into. So that is the issue here. I've drawn into 0 of my extenders, and I definitely tried to main for them. So this is the part where it gets a little awkward, where I'm thinking, do I want to call out a Slaptail now to whatchamacallit, to guarantee I have double int, or do I want to gamble on drawing the extender? Because I guess the main is technically intercept too, but ideally I want to leave a different intercept on the board if they don't have another abyss or anything like that. The main is definitely not the best intercept to ever have. CB1 draw 2, and I think, no, I did not draw into an extender, so here I just have to play vanilla. I just have to swing face 3 times and hope he dies, doesn't have 2 PGs in hand. And yeah, as you can see, one more Fesso 2 deck doesn't deck, couldn't draw them, but 3 PGs with a heal and at 4 would probably fine even if my opponent lived here. But as you see here, these numbers are huge. Everything's just asking for a PG. Yeah, double heal guard, he just had no PGs in hand. No PGs in hand at all whatsoever. So, yeah, sucks to be him. This is definitely hitting for, the thing was, it's hitting for like triple heal guard. Definitely doesn't have that, so just dies. I don't think he healed either. So, that's it for the game. So, that's it for the games as well as the deck profile. Yeah, Luard. I think Luard's a very solid deck actually. I don't think it's like broken. I think it's a very solid deck. But I definitely don't think it's anywhere near as broken as it used to be as like the 0 damage deny deck. But yeah, like I said, you can figure out what matchups you might want to damage down with this deck yourself. I don't particularly feel like telling people everything. You know, sometimes it's good to think for yourself every once in a while. But yeah, that's it for the deck profile. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff. Tell me guys what you think about the deck down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.